Hello you guys, it's Carly from the Poetry of Nice and welcome to a spooky edition of my sales update. So I thought I would do a little bit of a roundup like I often do. Sometimes I do things that sold quickly, sometimes I do things that sold for, great return on investment or above $50, whatever the case may be. This one is going to be things that sold for the Halloween season. So they are all Halloween themed items, majority of which are vintage, which I personally am super into. I really enjoy collecting and finding, and especially selling on and stuff. And yeah, so if you're interested, come hang out and see what spooky things I managed to rehome. So let's just get stuck in. There's a mixture in here of Etsy, eBay, and Poshmark. First thing here is Mr. Scream, Mr. Ghostface from 1997, from obviously the motion picture Scream. He used to have like a recordable voice box in him that wasn't working. He still sold for the full asking price of $44.99. I picked him up at an estate sale for about $2.50. And honestly, I had a hard time parting with him. Kind of wanted to keep him, but on he went to his new home. So there we go. The next is a vintage 1996 signed by the artist, a haunted tree ugly Halloween sweatshirt. Ugly just being a keyword that I tend to use because people search for ugly sweatshirts and ugly sweaters for parties and things like that. However, this thing was epic. You can kind of see down here that there was the signature, and obviously it was dated, and I mean seriously, this thing was just so intense. It had all kinds of bits and pieces glued and stuck all over it. I wasn't sure if anyone was even going to buy this, I'll be honest. I paid $2 and it sold for $30 in like 2 days, maybe even less. So somebody somewhere absolutely loved it, I'm sure. The next is this Halloween themed Scentsy warmer. I'm going to tell you right now that Halloween, Scentsy and Yankee, the candle warmers, the plugins, that kind of thing, they can do really, really well. People really like the Halloween themed, I think almost more than anything else in my personal experience. So this one obviously has the spider web. I paid $4 at a yard sale and it sold on Poshmark in a day for $30. This Longaberger pumpkin patch face basket lid. I don't know. I paid 25 cents for this at a yard sale. It was brand new and sealed. I was shooting a little bit higher with this price, I'll be honest, but I did sell it for $24.99 plus the shipping. Next is a vintage clown costume. This was a kid's costume, all handmade, and it sold for $49.95. This sweatshirt, not every Halloween sweatshirt is made equally. Some will sell for like 35 to 40 and some will sell for 13. This one was White Stag, so it was not vintage. It was not a particularly wonderful brand or anything. It was just Halloween themed. I think I picked it up for like 50 cents and it still sold in a week or two for 13 there. Okay, this was one of my favorite Halloween sweatshirts I have found ever. It was epic. The ghosts, what really got me was the ghosts were actually fluffy. I don't know, I just thought it was really cool. Anyway, it had some condition issues. I paid $1 for this, I believe, at a yard sale. It had some like dirt to the cuffs and there was a button missing and things like that, but it sold for $25 within an hour or two of being listed. And I took $25 only because of those condition issues. Next is a vintage handmade orange and black clown costume. It was amazing. The shoes were true vintage as well. They were actually from the 70s by Ben Cooper, I believe, was the brand, which is quite popular for like vintage Halloween costumes and things. Yeah, this thing was crazy. I paid 25 cents for this, just like the other Halloween clown costume I showed you, at a yard sale, and sold for $124.95 plus shipping. So fantastic flip there and such a cool piece to have found. Next is an Ariel Little Mermaid long sleeve costume. I picked this up specifically because it was long sleeve and so you could use the word modest and things like that. I paid $2 and it sold for the full asking price of $27.99. I'm picking up as many costumes as I can right now, as long as they're decent and they're in good condition. Decent being like good brands and good characters and things like that, especially if they're a little bit quirky. That's always good as well. Because 'tis the season and they're selling really well, as you can see. Next is a costume, an adult costume size extra large. I paid $2. It sold for $18. Peanuts Halloween trick or treat fluffy pajama pads. I paid $1. They sold for a best offer of $13.50, but they sold in like an hour of being listed. So not a lot of money, but a very fast flip. Another vintage Halloween sweater with all kinds of different bits and pieces on it, sold for $34.95. Again, only listed for sort of a few days. I picked this up and it ended up being, I want to say like 25 to 50 cents because it was in like a filler bag. I grabbed it purely because it was Halloween and because of the season. I wouldn't usually grab like too many scrub tops and stuff when they're Winnie the Pooh. They just don't do that well for me, sort of historically. But with it being October, I decided to list it at $14 and it sold in just a day or two of being listed as well. Again, the season sort of dictating these fast flips, I think. These, I realized they're not actually Halloween. I'm just throwing them in for good measure. I don't know. Tarot cards. They were vintage tarot cards. They were signed. There was only 22 in the deck, so I guess they were missing some. I'm not sure. Anyway, I sold them as is, and they sold for $40. So a great flip there as well. And I paid $2 for those at a yard sale. Vintage Blomel from the 90s. Again, not all are made equally. I know Empire is a great one. There's a few others out there that are great to look for. If you flip them over, they're usually marked. I can show you the bottom of this one actually. There you go. And I think it was actually dated in like 19 down here. Not sure, 1997 is what it says. This one was just like a pale. If you get the ones that light up and things like that, especially the larger ones, they can do fantastically. This one has sat in my inventory for a long time, but I liked him with his silly eyes and whatnot. And he sold finally for $25.50 plus the shipping. Next we have another vintage Halloween sweatshirt, and this one actually rivaled the other one as my favorite. I thought it was so cool. It's just such a 90s vibe to it. Really loved it. This sold same day as listing, I think in like an hour to 2 hours again, for the full asking price of $35. These guys were a little bit different from me. I paid 50 cents a piece. As soon as I saw them, I knew that they were like, you could tell they were part of a set because of the way they're made and stuff. And I knew they were Universal monsters, mostly because Phantom of the Opera is in there and you don't see him very often. And it turns out they were vintage and they were originally from CVS and people do collect them. So these three here, despite their condition issues, did sell for $29.95 on Etsy. Another vintage costume. This was Disney Cruella de Vil, just the jacket. Paid $2 at a yard sale. It sold for $34.95, full asking price. Another 90s Halloween sweatshirt. I liked this one because on the jack-o'-lantern, the like mouth and eyes and stuff, they're all black cats, so it was kind of cool. And it was like all kind of cross-stitch when you got really up close to it. I'll show you an up-close photo. It was really neat. It had some pilling and stuff, as you would expect, but just a really fun piece, and that's all for $28. Next is another vintage Trick or Treat teddy bear Halloween sweatshirt with that very cool 90s mock turtleneck. Sold for $14, and again, this was due to condition issues because it did have some staining to it. Only paid $1 or so for that. And the last spooky thing to show you is this Simply Southern Halloween glitter Hey Boo top, long sleeve top, and it sold for $20. I think it sold to a subscriber if I remember correctly, and if so, thank you again, and I hope that you're enjoying it in this spooky fall season. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging in there and hanging out. Let me know what your favorite Halloween type item is that you have ever thrifted or sold. I'm really interested to know that. Like I said, I collect vintage Halloween stuff. Our decorations are going out. I'm going to be doing a bit of a like thrifted Halloween decor tour here soon, so stay tuned for that. But I would love to know what you have picked up, whether to keep or sell, that you have just absolutely loved, that you found really spooky and really unique. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you like thrifty content, especially yard sale with me's and things like that, then please do think about hitting that subscribe button down below and the bell notification so you know when the next video goes up, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, you guys.